I have an announcement to make. Tony will not be here this morning. Something happened at home, and he had to go back to New York. However, I will be doing the Sunday service. So, oh, okay. All right, here's the telegram. This is Reverend Tony. Stop. So sorry I couldn't be there. Stop. However, I contacted my twin sister, Reverend Antoinette, in Memphis, Tennessee, and asked her to do the service. Stop. She'll be taking a red-eye and should get there just as the service is starting. Stop. Well. Oh! Oh!
Is this on? Who does a girl have to sleep with to get invited to speak at one of these things anyway? I'm so happy that, just a minute, I have to get some things. I just came in. Hold on. I got to get my notes.
Are we blessed? Are we blessed?
Reverend Tony sent me some notes, but that's not it. Those aren't it. Oh, this thing just gets in the way.
Reverend Antoinette, what is that for?
Sometimes I get a little tenseness in my lower back. Lower and back. Oh, that's not it either.
And what is that crown for?
Sometimes it helps me if I just take a moment and feel like a queen. No, that's not it. Oh, here they are. Here they are. Oh, thank you. Oh, it's so good to be here. It was such a fast trip. I hope I remembered to pack everything. Reverend Tony. Oh, well, some of you don't know who I am. I'm Reverend Tony's twin sister. We're identical twins, except for the gender part. And we didn't even know of each other's existence just till a couple of years ago. And we discovered each other, and it was really funny because you know how they say identical twins sometimes have similar characteristics even though they weren't raised together. And Reverend Tony and I have many things in common. Why, he and his partner, Reverend Larry, formed the CMC. And me and my partners formed the MCM, which is the Memphis Community Miracle Center. And we had so many things in common. We were both A Course in Miracles ministers. So I visited San Francisco once before a couple of years ago, and I'm so excited to be back. Actually, Reverend Tony and I have an agreement never to appear on the same stage together. It's kind of a family courtesy thing, you know, we do. Okay, so where are we in the service? I think you just did a reading?
Yes, I did.
Okay, which means
yes.
we're doing a song?
Yes.
Okay, let me see the song. Oh, I think it's Joyful, joyful.
Yes.
Right? Okay, very good. Okay, so, oh, yes, he told me. Okay, you all have the songs in your programs, right? So if you will all stand.
You're going to sing?
Well, no, we're not. Well, we're going to sing along with our pianist, Scott.
Oh.
Is that Scott over
That's
there?
Scott, yes.
Oh, my. Scott's a handsome one, isn't he? Oh, yes, he's a rather dapper fellow. Okay, so let's all get ready to sing. And Reverend Tony says Scott plays the first phrase,
That's right.
And then we all join in, so we're all ready to join in. So, Scott. That was so good. Oh, Scott, you're a very good piano player. I just love the way you move your hands and your fingers down there. Scott, maybe you could come up to my room a little later. About 1 o'clock. I have some songs I'd like to rehearse with you. We'll do a little singing.
You sing also?
Well, there'll be vocalizing going on, that much I know. 1 o'clock, Scott, thank you. A little perk of the travel. Okay, let me see. Now, I think we have featured soloists, right? We need to clear the stage just a little here. There we go. There we go. Just like home, you know. Okay, so now we'd like to call up our featured soloist. It's Reverend Darla from Miracles Healing Center, and her accompanist, Bastian. Let's give him a nice round of applause. Thank you, Reverend Darla, and all the wonderful musicians from the Miracles Healing Center. Let's give them another nice round of applause. Oh, you know, I'm really thirsty. I just got off the plane. I've been flying all night. Is there anybody that has any water? Oh, yes. Could you bring it to me, please? Oh my. Oh my. You work out, don't you? A little bit. I'll cherish every drop. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh my. Reverend Larry, what's that young gentleman's name?
Peter.
Oh. I think it said Reverend on his name tag too, didn't it?
That's right.
Oh, Reverend Peter.
Peter. A man called
You just gotta
Peter.
love that name, don't you? Well, let's see, Scott. Reverend Peter, maybe you could stop by my room a little later on. Let's say around 2. I have some prayer work I'd like to do.
You're going to pray?
Well, I know at least one of us will be on their knees. Hello. I'm going to put the microphone here in the stand. Sorry for all the squeaking. Give me just a minute to collect my notes. It's been such a long trip. An opportunity to gladden yourself. What a great title
for a conference, don't you think? I hope you're all being very glad. You know, Reverend Tony faxed me his notes, and I've been studying him on the plane, so I'm going to try to give a little bit of the sermon that he wanted to give, but with my own Reverend Antoinette flair. In the year 2000, we were in the midst of a terrible controversy in the A Course in Miracles world. There were copyright lawsuits, and different miracles organizations were getting sued by other miracles organizations. Why, Endeavor Academy, Miracles Healing Center, one of our co-sponsors, was being sued. The Circle of Atonement was involved in a lawsuit. ACIM, the organization that has now brought us the A Course in Miracles original edition, they were involved in lawsuits. The Community Miracles Center received a very threatening letter from lawyers, and it was all over the community, and it wasn't really a fun time for a lot of people, and things seemed rather gloomy. But somehow in the midst of that, a group of organizations, spearheaded by the Community Miracles Center and several others, decided that it was a new millennium and it was time to have a party, regardless of all this dark energy, and we'd just get the Course in Miracles community together and we'd bring it into the new millennium. And many people thought that it really couldn't be done, they wouldn't let us do it, and all kinds of things like that. But the co-sponsors, and certainly Reverend Tony and Reverend Larry, just were listening to something else. They felt those thoughts too, but every morning for them, the bird would sing, and the bird would tell them of a new day to start again. And they just started again and had the first big joined A Course in Miracles conference. It was a revolutionary idea, different organizations joining together and doing something in common. It was unheard of. How could all these diverse people get along? But they did get along, and they did have a conference, and we're still having conferences, and this one in San Francisco, of course, is an offshoot of that. And we do all have to do that. We just have to start each day new. We have to hear the bird sing that tells us of a new day. And we have to forget about the past and not worry about the future and just live the best day in front of us that we have to live. There's always going to be problems in the miracles community. People talk about the problems in the miracles community like maybe we could solve them. We're never going to solve them. There's always going to be problems in the miracles community. There's always going to be flaws in the miracles community. There's always going to be cracks in that framework. The cracks aren't going to go away. Actually, there's cracks in everything. And that's the title of this presentation. There's a crack in everything. Think about it. It's not going away. The copyright controversy healed itself thanks to a lot of hard work from a lot of people, and especially a lot of hard work from Endeavor Academy and Miracles Healing Center. And it's something that I don't ever want to forget how much work and money, vast amounts of money, they spent to give us a free A Course in Miracles today and a free trademark. The words aren't trademarked anymore. Anybody can use them, and we owe that to them. They're not a perfect miracles organization. They have flaws, they have cracks. Community Miracles Center isn't a perfect miracles organization. My center, the ACIM, isn't a perfect miracles organization. None of them are perfect. There's flaws in them all, and yet they all do good work. If we were going to reject them because of their flaws, their good works wouldn't be able to come forth. Now, there's cracks in the miracles community, like I said, and a lot of times people argue over what A Course in Miracles means and how to interpret it and how to practice it. And people get all bent out of shape because of those flaws and those cracks. What does the Course mean? But I always remember this passage from the Course, which says, Theoretical issues but waste time, draining it away from its appointed purpose. Theoretical issues but waste time, draining it away from its appointed purpose. Well, what is time's appointed purpose? Time's appointed purpose is to extend love, to practice forgiveness. That's the appointed purpose, not to figure out theory. Now, figuring out theory is a good thing, and sometimes, many times, it helps us to fulfill our purpose. But we have to remember that the theory is there to serve the purpose, and we can do the best serving of that purpose every moment, every day when we hear that bird sing and start again, just from where we are. And we can get better and better at it, but we're always able to do the absolute best that we can do right from where we are, regardless of our cracks. Of course, thank you. Thank you. A Course in Miracles says, "Forget not the healing of God's Son is all the world is for." It's the only reason why we're here, to heal us, to heal our brothers and sisters, and to participate in the healing of the world. Now, some A Course in Miracles students look at themselves, and what they see are their flaws. They see the cracks in their understanding or their inability to understand things and practice things, and they think to themselves, well, I'm not ready yet. I'll have to study a little more. I'll have to go to this teacher or that teacher or read the book a few more times or work my way through the workbook lessons a few more times. I'm not ready. But there's one line, one passage from A Course in Miracles that I always remember, and it's this one. It says, "The healer who relies on his own readiness is endangering his understanding. You are perfectly safe as long as you are completely unconcerned about your readiness, but maintain a consistent trust in mine." You are ready. Trust the voice, trust the divine, trust Jesus, trust the Holy Spirit. That will give you the guidance. You are absolutely ready to be miracle workers and healers right now, right where you are. Absolutely. You know, in all the wars in the miracles community, well, they're going to be fought again, and they'll be healed, and they'll be fought again. This is always going to go on. Just get used to the idea. It's not going to go away. You know, there were several well-known teachers of A Course in Miracles who did not want to participate in this conference, and they were asked, several of them, and the feeling that Reverend Tony and Reverend Larry got was somehow this conference was too diverse, or there were too many maybe dangerous elements participating, and maybe some didn't really want to be associated with those elements. Who knows what might happen in a conference like this, hosted in San Francisco. Thank you. Some people think that some A Course in Miracles teachers are really just interested in money, or maybe it's fame, and they're not really clean with their motives, or that their motives are suspicious. And many people think that the Holy Spirit is being caught and captured and then sold and parceled out and bought. And like, this is a problem. And they get disillusioned. But that's just the crack. It's in everything. A lot of good work happens regardless of that, even if that might be true. It doesn't matter. Good work still gets done. Are you looking at the good work, or are you focusing in on the problem? So I think all of us here really have a wonderful opportunity. We could be that bell of freedom that gets rung, telling Course in Miracles students everywhere that it's okay with whatever flaws and cracks that we have, and that the idea of a perfect A Course in Miracles community is an absolute myth. Perfection is not in the realm of form. It's not in the realm of manifestation. It's in the realm of reality. In the level of form, those cracks, those flaws are always going to be there. There's a wonderful Canadian poet-singer who I've always loved, and his name is Leonard Cohen. And we have a lot of people from Canada here, I know. And a lot of Americans know Leonard Cohen. And he's responsible for that wonderful line, which I'm using, which is, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. It's not a problem, it's the opening. And A Course in Miracles says that. It says, do not despair then because of limitations. It is your function to escape from them, but not to be without them. If you would be heard by those who suffer, you must speak their language. See, if we're going to be heard, we have to have the same flaws and cracks as everyone, or we won't sound, they won't be able to hear us. 476 of you have made the choice to be here and to let go of whatever limitations and ideas that you might have. And it is a great sign of miracles coming and miracles here that so many of us have joined together to strengthen our practice and understanding of this wonderful discipline. And if we think we want signs and miracles that we can observe before we feel confident to take our practice a step further, just look around you now. This should be sign enough and miracle enough that this discipline works. Think of this weekend and how great it's been and the fun you're having. Yeah. A lot has transformed in the A Course in Miracles community. The old government of A Course in Miracles has been rather widowed of sort. And the marriage of the old power elite has somehow gotten divorced or dissolved. Former partners are somehow single again. It's actually a very wide open movement right now. Obviously, this conference launched a new edition of A Course in Miracles, published by someone else, another organization than the old publishers. This is a wide open movement. It's a very diverse movement. It's an exciting time in the movement. It's a time of unlimited possibilities in the movement. It's a time to embrace the diversity of the movement. And what a better place to embrace that diversity than right here in San Francisco. Reverend Antoinette has a confession to make. Sometimes I get a little sad. Sometimes I get a little blue. In former years, I even got depressed. You see, Reverend Antoinette has a flaw. I'm not the perfect woman that some men want. Once they get to know me, well, it's like they get a little more than they bargained for. I always thought of it as a little something extra. They chose a different perception. To them, it was just a little bit too much. It was my special problem, and many times in the past, I felt cursed. Why did I have this problem? Why me? Why was I burdened so? But then I read something in A Course in Miracles that got me to shift that perception. It says, each worshiper of idols harbors hope his special deities will bring him more than other men possess. It must be more. It does not really matter more of what? More beauty, more intelligence, more wealth, or even more affliction and pain. But more of something is an idol for. I was making an idol of my flaw. I was making it important. Somehow I was special because I had a special burden to bear. But then A Course in Miracles told me something else. It says, the specialness he chose to hurt himself did God appoint to be the means for his salvation. From the very instant that the choice was made, his special sin was made his special grace. His special hate became his special love. So it's like Leonard Cohen said, yes, there is a crack in everything, but that is how the light gets in. That becomes our special grace. It's not a special problem. It's our special blessing when perceived correctly. It is how the light gets in. And that was just a moment of transformation for Reverend Antoinette. I would use my specialness in special ways and embrace it. We all need to embrace our flaws and our cracks. That's how we fulfill the atonement. That's how we let the light into the planet. You know, and sometimes I get a little mad too. You know, sometimes I get my panties all in a bunch. I get a little mad sometimes at those teachers and organizations who aren't comfortable in the diverse crowd, who aren't comfortable with all miracle students everywhere, who at least aren't open to the good that's being done. It seems so godless to me. And you know what? I'm not going to run anymore with that godless crowd. If my teachers can't embrace a little bit of everyone and see the blessing everywhere, then I really probably don't want to associate with them. And I'm taking that on as a challenge. And actually, I'm taking that on as being the voice for that myself. There is a storm cloud on the horizon, and it's us and Reverend Antoinette. We're going to be the voice that's going to say, we need to look at all miracles teachers, miracles organizations, all miracles students, and see the blessing in them and see the good work that they do. Because we all are part of a very, very diverse community, but our flaws are our blessings, and our differences are our transcendences. It is a wonderful community. There's a place for everyone in it, and we can be that storm cloud, and we can be ringing that bell of freedom, telling people to open yourself up and take a look at the whole movement, explore all teachers, and learn what there is to learn. You know, there's a passage in the Bible. It's Matthew 22. You probably didn't think Reverend Antoinette knew the Bible, but it's very prevalent in the South, you know. In Matthew 22, it talks about the wedding feast. And at the moment of the wedding feast, they sent out invitations to the honored guests. But the honored guests all seemed too busy to come. They had their own things that they were doing. But the feast had to happen anyway. And so then they sent out an invitation, and the king says, bring everybody that will come, and we will have a grand feast. And so they brought everybody, and a lot of those people they brought did seem to have cracks. They did seem to have flaws, but they had a grand celebration because it was the celebration that was important. It was having the celebration and joining together and celebrating. It was the feast that actually had to happen. And perhaps the ones who came did seem like refugees to some, but to every heart, love will come, and even to the heart of the refugees. I want the 9 co-sponsors and the 22 presenters to just think about this conference and think about what we accomplish by joining together and letting go of our differences and not making a big deal of our diversities. We need to stop looking for the perfect teacher. We need to stop looking for the perfect A Course in Miracles organization. We need to stop looking for the perfect A Course in Miracles theory. They all have flaws. We need to stop looking for suspicious motives. We all have suspicious motives. We all have cracks. Oh, think about it. Helen Schuckman was this older Jewish woman. She had the hots for this younger, tall man. Reverend Antoinette can understand that. He didn't want anything to do with her. So what does she do? She comes up with this very interesting way to engage him every day for 7 years, meeting with him privately in their little office. It was their dirty little secret, we're told. And she would cry and he would hold her hand. Suspicious motives. But so what? Look what came through that flaw. Look what came through that crack. A Course in Miracles did. If we were going to reject it because of the flaw, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in.
Okay, I want to do something a little different now. And as I said, Reverend Tony and Reverend Antoinette share a lot of things in common. And one of the things they share in common is they both really like to sing. If you've ever called the Community Miracle Center, you hear Reverend Tony singing on the phone. So Reverend Antoinette is going to sing that Leonard Cohen song for you that I've used for so much of an inspiration for this service. And when you listen to Reverend Antoinette sing, I want you to think of the first week or two of American Idol. And you'll have the proper framework to appreciate it. So I brought some music, and Scott, Reverend Tony told me that you were a really good sight reader, and I know it's just right off the bat, but it's the song Anthem. It is in 5 flats. I think that's D flat major, and well, here you go. We'll just do the best.
Ready? The birds they sang at the break of day start again. I heard them say, don't dwell on what has passed away or what is yet to be.
Yeah, the wars, they will be fought again. The holy dove, it will be caught again. Bought and sold and bought again. The dove is never free. Ring the bell that's still that ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. We asked for signs, the signs were sent. The birth betrayed, the marriage spent, the widowhood of every government, the signs for all to see. I can't run no more with that godless crowd, while the killers in high places say their prayers out loud. Oh, but they've summoned up a thundercloud. They're gonna hear from me. Ring the bell that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. You can add up the parts, you won't find the sum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can add up the parts, you won't find the sum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is no drum. You can strike up the mark, there is very heart to love will come. Oh, but like a refugee. Oh, ring the bell that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets
Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Antoinette.
Reverend Antoinette, over the years that I know you, you have made me cry. Never have so many tears been shed. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our collection.
After all these years.
Okay. Very good. Oh, we're back on. Good. Thank you. Thank you all. And thank you, Reverend Larry, for those nice, kind words. You're welcome. Don't you just love a man in a suit? Gives you so much more to take off. Actually, Reverend Larry, maybe you'd like to come up to my room a little later. Let me see.
Don't you think you're already a little busy?
Say about 3.
Don't you think you're a little too busy already?
Well, Reverend Larry, have you ever thought about how many opportunities you'd had to gladden yourself and how many you had refused? 3 o'clock. Okay. Some announcements to make.
Now, Reverend Antoinette, I have a little something I would like to do.
Okay, so now we're going to have our closing song, the last song that we'll sing here at the conference. So it's a tradition when you come to San Francisco that this is the song you leave with. So turn to I Left My Heart in San Francisco and maybe hold the hand of the person next to you. So everybody ready with I Left My Heart in San Francisco? And Scott, you want to play the first phrase and then we'll join in. I'm going home.